I don't believe anything happens by accident. Even when they hire me, there was something inside of them that told them that this is where they need to be. Now that you get doubt, fear, and everything once you do it, that's different, but the urge was there. So the one thing I always tell them when things get tough is just say this to yourself. I didn't make it this far to make it this far. I'm here for a reason. And just say it enough times, as loud as you can, until it resonates in your bones. And then tell me if you're scared again.
Hello and welcome to Delusional. I'm your host, Michelle Coyle, and I am here today with John Barbera. Please introduce yourself, John.
Hi, my name is John Barbera. I was an illegal immigrant in this country for about 20 years, and now as a full-fledged citizen, run $1 million company and living the dream.
Living the dream. So let's get into hearing all about it because your story is so inspiring. In fact, when I was asking our mutual friend Brooke, who should I talk to that has a really cool, inspiring, delusional story, you were like top of his list. So you and I don't know each other. We're going to be getting to know each other over the course of this recording today. But I'm excited to get to know you and hear all about this. So tell it, where did this start? You came from where and when and how and why?
So my parents, when I was 7 years old, were sold that in the United States, we were in Argentina, that's where I was born, that you'll be walking down the street and you would trip over $500. It just money was everywhere in the streets. I've been here now for 30 years. I've never tripped over $500.
Me either. Yeah.
But that was the dream. So my dad borrowed a little bit of money for the plane tickets, and we flew up to New York. We came with a visitor's visa, which is only good for 90 days. And so, we kind of overstayed our welcome at that point, living the American dream. And we were within a month of being here, we were the people that invited us. Apparently, what they wanted to have was cheap labor and kind of almost like slave labor in a way. And my
Mm.
dad had enough pride in him to tell him to go screw themselves. So they kicked us out. And this is New York in March, and there's like 3.5 feet of snow outside.
And you're
And
7 years old at this point?
yes.
And do you have any siblings? Like what's the whole family situation?
So at the time, I had an older brother who is 6 years older than me,
Mhm.
and my parents, and my sister came 2 years later.
Okay.
So there's three of us now, but at the time she wasn't there. So yeah, they kicked us out. No, we didn't speak English. We're in the street in Newburgh, this town in New York, which was at the time worse than living in the Bronx. Very crime ridden, and we're just on the sidewalk with our suitcases, like, well, shoot, we
Right.
can't even get to the airport even if we wanted to. Yeah, and luckily that family that knew these people heard about it, so they picked us up. They put us up on a studio apartment, and my dad found a job, and we kind of just started fighting for survival ever since.
Wow. Okay. So what did your dad start doing for work at that point?
So in '93, I want to say they blew up the basement in the Twin Towers
Mhm.
and like the parking structure. So there was a lot of sewage.
Mhm.
And my dad's first job was being picked up at 3 a.m. from where we were, driven to New York City to shovel shit, literally.
Wow.
And he would do that till about 7 p.m. They'll drop him off. He would just go to sleep, sometimes not eating because we didn't have food. So we had no money. So, and do it again and again and again and again until, you know, it just kind of like meeting other people and other things. Then he found another job that was a little bit closer. And then he started making a little bit more money. And then we moved to another town where these people lived. Then he started doing hardwood floors. Um, then he built his own business doing hardwood floors. He bought his first house, bought cars, living the American. We were still undocumented, um, but he was still, able to produce and live the dream. And when I was 15, 16, he had a heart attack
Mm.
and he couldn't keep working the business. So I dropped out of high school because honestly, I was a terrible student already. And there was just no point of me staying in school because as illegal, I can't go to college. I can't like get a job. It just
Yeah.
made no sense. And I was terrible at school. So I just dropped out and started working with my brother in the construction company. And just kind of did that for, I don't know, about like 10 years, 10, 15 years working
Oh, wow.
construction.
Okay. So this is amazing. So your dad literally gets stuck kind of shoveling shit on the graveyard shift to support the family. You're able to go
Yes.
to school all the way up through and into high school, and then you and his brother take over the business and you learn the construction trade.
Yeah, yeah. We started with hardwood floors, and I hated hardwood floors. I'm 6'2", and I'm like, really? You pick a job that's all the way down there, you know? So we started adding more stuff. We started renovating houses and actually doing like additions and all the whole job. And then because I treated my body like a playground, I had 3 herniated discs in my lower back. So it was just a lot of painful years.
Mm.
It would take me about 30 minutes after I woke up every morning to be able to straighten up,
Oh, wow.
because like I was fully like bent over. I couldn't straighten up my back.
Wow.
So yeah, it was definitely a grind for quite some time.
What kept you going through all of those grind years and like literally kind of having to override your physical health to even do the work?
I didn't have another option.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. So for me, coming at 7 years old, this is my country. You understand? I love America with
Yeah.
extreme passion. Even though I was born in Argentina, I've never been back up until like I think I went back in 2007.
Hmm.
But I never been back, so I have no love for Argentina. Like nothing against it. It's just I didn't grow up there, right? This
Right.
is my country. This is all I know. Um, and honestly, it's just what else could I do? I didn't have, you know, yeah, giving up wasn't an option.
Hmm.
And I was young enough that I still had dreams. So, I was just like, I'll figure it out some way, somehow. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it. I
Yeah.
just don't know what that some way, somehow looks like right now, but it was something was gonna come out.
Well, and this comes up a lot on this show, as you can imagine, right? It's almost, I'm certainly not going to use the word easier, right? But a lot of success comes from, I had no other choice. I did it
Yes.
because what else was I going to do? Or the kind of the flip side of that, or I had nothing to lose. So I might as well do it. There's this thing that happens when you, and we'll talk about this more in a minute, I'm sure. But once you start making money, once you start getting comfortable, the attention switches into like, oh, I've got to protect what I have and I don't want to take so many risks and I don't want to, and then it becomes harder actually to do the next big leap because you're so worried about protecting what you have. Wait, if you don't have shit and you don't have any other way to get shit, you're going to be out there shoveling shit, right? Like that's,
Exactly. Yeah, and to be honest, like so now I'm a coach myself, and I see people that come from means, and they're not willing to do the work, right?
yeah,
Because they're comfortable,
yeah,
and I get it, but if you're not able to get some real leverage on yourself, like everything in life is going to be hard.
yeah,
Anything that's worth anything is going to require discipline and focus and commitment. And when you just don't have to because you're okay and you're fine with being okay,
yeah,
that's all it is. And I've known a lot of immigrants, growing up, and a lot of them were okay simply working in the back of a restaurant or
mhm,
simply just having an apartment, and they were okay with that. Me, I identified as an American. So I was like, no, I want the house, I want the
yeah,
cars, I want the American lifestyle. Like, I don't know, I don't want the immigrant lifestyle,
right,
but I had the immigrant work ethic,
right,
which was there was never any ego. There was never anything that I'm too good for this.
right,
You understand? Oh, me door knock? Oh no.
yeah,
Door knock? Okay, where do I stop? Like, just point me and I'll go. Um, there was just nothing I wasn't willing to do
right,
because where I was so low that's like you're not gonna scare me with that. It's just not gonna
absolutely.
do anything.
Absolutely. Okay, so we got you to the point where you've been now working your dad's business for, you said 10 years with your brother,
Yeah.
through a lot of physical pain. And so then what happened after that?
So we actually were doing like it was the fifth or sixth house at this time that I did for this Italian guy that he would come pull up in his Cadillac, really nice little jumpsuit, come up to us smelling all clean, looking nice and sharp, hand us a check. And it was the fifth, sixth house that we did for him. And I'm like, all right, you can't live in 5 houses. Like, what are you doing? Right? And he's like, well, I flip houses. I
Mhm.
was like, and I'm very ignorant, right? So I'm like, the house is in the same position it's been. Like, what does that mean? I
It's
was,
still right side up. What are you talking about?
yeah. So he's like, and a little tangent on that. For the longest time, every time I heard the term serial entrepreneur, I thought it was an entrepreneur that owned a lot of cereal companies. So yeah, I was very, like I said, I was a terrible student. Okay. There were a lot of things that to me just went over my head. So he's like, I flip houses. And I was like, what does that mean? He's like, I buy them, I fix them up, and I sell them. I'm like, well, I fix them up though. So you're buying them. I'm like, okay, I got to figure this out. Like,
Right. You're like,
I
wait a
felt
second.
like,
No, you're buying them. I'm fixing them up and you're selling them. What
yeah,
the
I
fuck?
felt
Yeah.
like I'm doing the hardest job here,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm there, I'm like renovating, taking walls out, doing all this
Yeah.
stuff. And this guy's like pulling up in a beautiful Cadillac. And I'm like, I got to figure this out. So I got some books on real estate and kind of learning through everything. I found this concept called wholesaling.
Mhm.
Wholesaling is you find a homeowner that needs to sell, you negotiate with them, and then you find a buyer like him that wants to buy, and you make the spread in the middle for connecting them.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, shoot, I can do that with no money. So I started just kind of educating myself on how to do those things. I try to do it in New York. New York is not known for being business friendly. I'm not
Right.
sure if you're aware, like taxes, the
Yeah.
laws, everything, they're just not business friendly at all. So I did some research, saw Texas never took a hit after the 2008. It was pretty strong, stable market. So I was like, let's go to Texas. So with my wife, we sold everything we had, packed up everything in her Chevy Cobalt, and we drove down to Texas. And we got to San Antonio, which is a market that I felt like was stable enough for me to jump in. Um, and yeah, we just funny enough, like we couldn't get an apartment because I didn't have a job, and people didn't want to rent to somebody that didn't have a job. And I found a lady that had a great apartment for rent, and the only reason she rented to me was because her husband that passed away used to be Argentinian,
Mm,
and she felt a connection. So she's like, "I trust you," but if not, we weren't finding apartments. Nobody
amazing.
wanted to rent to us. So to me, it's God's way of kind of intervening, you know. Um, and yeah, and then I just kind of embarked on learning about real estate, learning about wholesaling, learning like the whole process of how to make money in real estate from there.
Well, so let's talk about your wife for a second
Yeah,
because a lot of spouses would say, "What the fuck do you mean? We're gonna sell everything, put it in the Chevy Cobalt, go to a halfway across the country where we know nobody and where we have no way to get housing."
yeah.
And your wife said, "Sure, let's go." Or was it more of a discussion than that?
Well, yeah, sort of. So when I proposed to her, after a year of dating, I proposed to her because to me it was efficient. It was, I know I like you, and I know we're good together. So why mess around?
Mhm.
Why like play these games?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what life is going to look like because at the time we were both illegal.
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't know. Just know that I don't stop. It's going to get rocky. It's going to be uncertain at times, but as long as I got air in my lungs, I don't stop. Like,
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. And she was like, yeah, let's do it. So, so she was always on board. And yeah, there was a discussion about Texas, but it wasn't that hard because at the time we were in New York and we were in a one studio apartment, one bedroom apartment, and we could barely get by, both of us working.
Yeah.
So it was like, we're not going anywhere. It's just, there's no future here with this.
Mhm.
So at the very least, it seemed like in Texas the lifestyle living was more affordable.
Yeah.
So, and at the time when we moved down there, she just pictured like tumbleweeds and people on horses everywhere. She thought like Texas was this underdeveloped place because New York is the only place that actually has civilization.
Oh my god.
Um, so we were very happy when we got to San Antonio. There was an actual city with cars.
That's hilarious. So it's just like a complete blind leap, blind faith.
Yes.
Um, and it really speaks to the strength of your relationship that you were able to do that. A lot of what we talk about on Delusional is folks who were doing things in spite of resistance or pushback from the people that love them most, whether that be their parents, sometimes it is a spouse. And they're saying, "Hey, no, you got to trust me. We're going to do this." So I love that she was on board and that and it goes back to that situation of like, "Hey, we don't have anything to lose. Let's go Let's
Yeah.
go try it over here in San Antonio. Okay, so you get to San Antonio, you start learning about real estate, you're learning about flipping houses, and then what happened from there?
Well, real quick, what you said, what's funny is that my dad was against what I was doing. My brother was against what I was doing.
Mm.
Her father was against what I was doing.
Mhm.
In the male culture, in the Hispanic culture, like it's very, you got to be a man, you know,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
wasn't being a man with what I was doing. Like
Mm,
in their eyes, like I wasn't a man, you
mm,
know, and my brother will always say, "Oh, you think you're going to read a book and make money? Like, who do you think you are?" You know,
mm,
and because that's all they saw. And for years, like it was, I kind of didn't want to see my family because every time they would see me, they looked at me kind of with almost disgust that I
mm,
had chosen this life, you
mhm,
know, and like, why don't you just be a man and take care of your family?
mm,
Instead of, you know, being a dreamer and trying to do this crazy things that
mhm,
you want to do. So it was not just battling everything else, but it's also the family pressure. And I know she felt it too. I mean, we've been together now 21 years.
mhm.
I know she felt it too, but she also trusted me. I don't know
Yeah,
why, but she trusted me.
that's huge. That's
Yes.
huge. And so you're coming from this situation where you're the baby of the family, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, my
Just
sister's younger,
yeah,
but you know, she did always what my parents said at the time. So,
yeah.
you know, I was the one that, you know, they were just. I was definitely the black sheep. I was
Yeah, it
the
was
one that like,
and they're going
just
like, "What are you even doing? What do you know, who," and
yes.
kind of like almost like a, "Who do you even think you are?"
Oh yeah, like they thought I was insane. Like
Yeah.
my dad even talked to me. He's like, he was very disappointed. You
Mhm.
know, he thought I was just out of my mind for wanting to do this. To me, I thought they were out of their mind. I'm like, well, what the hell are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
you've been doing the same thing for
Yeah.
decades and it's not going anywhere. Like,
Yeah.
talk about the, you know, insanity, you know, like I know at the very least I can always go back to that. I could always do construction
Right.
again. Right. Like I was like, at the very least, if we ever get to a spot where it's like we're out on the street, all right, I'll go get a job. I'll go
Right.
do something, you know?
Right.
So,
Right. And I'll pause for a second and say, obviously your story is very different from my story, but we have that parallel in common that I started with nothing. And I always had that to go back to because, I did everything, like whatever I could do, waiting table, whatever. Right.
yeah.
And I got to this point where it was like, I can always go back to waiting tables. Now I've never had to go back to waiting tables, but
Mhm.
I like I could, like I'm not above it. I would go drive an Uber. I would go do whatever. Like right now, if I lost everything and I were totally broke
Mhm.
and started from scratch, I'm not too good to go work in the back of a restaurant. I did that work for 7 years. Um, and coming from that background, it gives you that grit because it's kind of like I made it before, I can make it again.
Nobody
And
gave you anything,
nobody
right?
gives you anything. And to me, it's like it's such an advantage, actually. Like you, I'm a coach. I work with entrepreneurs, people that come from a comfortable background. They really struggle to take the risks sometimes that needs to happen because they're just coming from this different mentality and they don't know how to build it from scratch. If you've
Yeah.
already built it from scratch, hey, circumstances change, life changes, shit changes. I know how to go out there and work if I need to go out there and work and I'll always be okay. And boy, that's just psychologically, that mindset gives you such a strong foundation to build on, just knowing. I am
Yes.
so touched by the role of your wife in this story
Mhm.
because she's got not only your whole family doing that, who do you think you are shit to you, but she's also got her own dad, you said, that's against
Oh
it.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's looking at you and going, I'm going to shut out all the noise from all these other people and I'm going to put my faith in you. I don't even know your wife. I feel like I'm going to cry just like rehashing because that's so
Yeah.
beautiful. Like that really
Yes.
inspires me from a relationship standpoint.
Well, my wife and I have been through a lot in these 20 years. Life has definitely tested us. And one thing I can say is every time we've been tested, we've never done what I've seen a lot of people do, which is they turn on each other.
Mhm.
When we've been tested, we always come together stronger and
Mhm.
go against the problem. Right.
Mhm.
So it's one of those things that, like, I don't know. I don't want to say that our relationship has been effortless, but it kind of just felt that way. We were always very aligned. We were never ones to be like, it's your fault because of this, or it's your fault
Mm.
because of that. It's always like, hey, here's the problem. How do we fix it? Here's
Yeah.
the problem. How do we fix it? Right. And I think that that work between us, I always say, like, she's and I don't say even jokingly, like she is my best friend, my business
Mhm.
partner. They're, 21 years later, and like we still stay up at night for 2 hours talking,
Oh.
and we can talk about religion, business, economy, like anything. The conversations are so dynamic in so many of the areas that we can talk. Well, Melissa in the group, Brooke's mom, she knows Val and she loves her too, right? And
Mhm.
she's, because of the same thing, she sees the kind of woman that she is. So yeah, I got to say, like, without her, this definitely would have been a lot harder
Yeah.
because when you have your whole family beating down on you, it's like
Mhm.
this life gets very lonely very quickly.
Yes.
So having somebody next to you that actually is encouraging you is, you know, it made things better for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I love that. I don't know her, but I wanna shout her out anyway. And the way
Yes.
you guys work as a team is really cool. So, when did this start turning around? When did the money really start coming in for you? And then how did that feel after a lifetime of never having money like that? How did it feel when it
Yeah.
started to go right?
So funny enough, when I started real estate, it took me probably a good 10 years
Yeah.
before it really started working. Up until then, it was just so many bad decisions, so
Mhm.
many lessons of just stumbling and bumps, bruises, scrapes, everything along the way. Uh, it got to a point where it's funny enough, the year that everything turned around for me was the year I had thought about quitting, probably
Mhm.
like twice a month. I was thinking about
Mhm.
quitting. And it was a year that I was just getting so fed up. It was just like, I tell people I've been in real estate for 13 years and they're like, ooh. And I was like, no, I sucked for like a solid 8. Like it was not all glory from day one. Like some people start real estate nowadays, and they're 3 months in and they're like, you don't understand, John. I've been doing this for 3 months. I was like, bro, you're just getting started.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah.
So it was a grind. And I think it built so much grit that like my low was so low that everything else was just good. Like I
Yeah.
was like, I can deal with this. And that year that I wanted to quit, I gave it one last shot because I have also a business partner that's been my business partner for almost 11 years now.
Mhm.
And I told him I wanted to quit real estate, and his eyes got red.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, fuck. Like he's literally the only man in my life that has ever believed in me.
Mm.
You understand? So like
Mhm.
loyalty to me means a ton.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters to me. If you're loyal to me, you got me in spades, right? Like there's just nothing you won't get from me. And he's always been loyal. So I was like, all right, let me give it one more push for him. And I kind of just reanalyzed my whole business. I looked at all the patterns, looked at everything, and that's where I came up with the model that I now teach my students. And it was literally like 6 months, my business flipped. And then we just started like spending so much less and making so much more.
Mm.
And what's funny is the question you asked was like, I got to a point where the business was just doing great, rocking and rolling, had the teams, had the systems, have everything. I was living in Texas. One thing I didn't know about Texas when I moved down there is how hot it is. Nobody told me how hot it is.
Especially San Antonio. Yeah.
Yeah. Growing up in New York, when I went to Texas, I was like, oh, dear God,
Yeah.
it's 100 degrees for like 4 months straight. I was
Yeah.
like, this is insane. So as soon as I could, I wanted to move to Tennessee. So
Mhm.
I finally moved to Tennessee, not because I had to, but because I wanted to.
Mhm.
And we got a beautiful home. We're in a great neighborhood. Just everything's great. And I get depressed.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody told me this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, now what? Now what?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now it's like I got to the point where my dream was always to never have to look at a price tag. If
Mhm.
I needed something, just go get it. Right. Because it was always, I need this. I don't know. Let's see what we can stretch, or maybe we could get it on clearance, or how many coupons, right? Like it was always something like that. And I always want to get to a point where it's like, I need shoes. Just go get shoes.
Mhm.
The kids need something. Just go get it. Like I always wanted to be at that point. And I got to that point, and I didn't know what to do. Like and I felt so guilty because I was like, you're so ungrateful. You
Mm.
understand? Like, you remember where you came from. And I'm like, why are you being so ungrateful? And I was like, I don't know how to handle this. Like, I really didn't know how to handle this. I was like, that drive I had went away. That ambition I had went away.
Mhm.
And here's the worst part is the more depressed I got, the better my business kept doing. And
Oh,
I was like,
interesting.
this is fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
because at least if it went up on flames, I can fix it. And
Yeah.
because I'm used to the fight,
Yeah.
but there was nothing to fight. The systems I
Yeah.
set up, they worked really well. So I kept building the business, and
Yeah.
I launched my coaching, and the coaching was building itself. It was really good and it was going great. And I was like, I don't get it, because I didn't know how not to fight,
It's
and nothing was a fight anymore.
it's really interesting that everything kept going well for you at that point because we see
Yes.
this a lot, right? We see people who have fought and scrapped their whole life, and then you get to that point where you've got everything that you thought you wanted. It doesn't fill the hole in your soul the way you thought. You find out it was actually the journey or the climb that you were into and the building part. And now that you've built something, you go, "Oh, now what?" And it feels kind of shitty, like you said. And then what happens to a lot of people, and it's interesting that this didn't happen to you, is they will find a way to self-sabotage and tear down all the stuff that they built, lose all their money, whatever, so that they will then put themselves back in a position of having to build again because that's where they're comfortable and happy, right?
Yes.
You had done so well with your systems that in spite of your best efforts to sabotage it from your personal standpoint, the business
Yeah.
went, no, John, get out of our way. Like we're still going.
Yeah. Because the best way for me to move to Tennessee was to work myself out of the day to day, right?
Yeah.
So because I was able to do that, even though I was depressed and whatever, like, the business was still running. It was still operating because the systems, everything were in place because I worked myself out of it.
Yeah.
Right. So it was so it was so messed up because, like, if I had the opportunity, I probably would have burned it all down because it seemed so appealing to burn everything down and rebuild.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I was like, I can't do that to my family because at
Yeah.
the time it was my wife, it was my 3 kids, so we worked so damn hard, and especially her, right? Like, she's
Yeah.
put up with a lot. So I was like, it's not fair.
Yeah.
So what I did at that point, which I think not many people do, and I think it's sad, is I started asking for help.
Yeah.
And for not just a man, but Hispanic man asking
Mhm.
for help and talking about feelings and emotions
Mhm.
is, we don't do that. Like,
Right.
my dad told me he was proud of me 6 months ago for the first
Wow.
time in my life. I'm 38 years old. So, you know, these are things that are discussed in our lives, right?
Yeah.
And so my drive at the moment was my family.
Mhm.
I couldn't let them down.
Yeah.
That was just not an option. It just didn't even begin to fit. So I started asking for help, and they connected me with this guy and this person, this, and then I met this guy, Jimmy Rex, and I was talking to him, and then he connected me with a Melissa, and then I met Melissa, and then I hired her as a coach, and then she started working with me, and then, little by little, I started climbing out of the shit and started,
Mhm.
like, kind of, but that journey, Michelle's honestly taken me almost a year to get out of that funk. Like, it was not, and even saying it now, for anybody listening, like, sometimes I feel embarrassed, but, like, I was doing the best I've ever done in my life, yet I was the most miserable I've ever been in my life. And I was like, it just, you know, it, I don't know, it went against everything that made sense. Like, how can that be?
Well, I've experienced that myself, and a lot of the people that I coach have experienced that as well. And it's almost like when you grow up and you don't have any money, money is held up as this, well, if I only had money, everything would be solved, right? Like when you don't have any money and you're trying to figure out like where do I get groceries from this week or how do I put gas in my car, right? It feels like money is going to solve all your problems. And then you get to a point where you start making more money and now I can buy groceries, now I can put gas in the car and it feels like, oh, money did solve those problems, right? Life is easier with gas in my car and food in my
Yeah.
belly, right? And my kids are fed and okay, good, money solves problem. Now let me get more money. Money only solves problems to a certain extent. Money solves problems at the bottom of the Maslow hierarchy of need pyramid, like puts a roof
Yes.
over your head, feeds you, puts gas in your car, puts clothes on your back. Cool. Does what you needed. Now we can have some fun. Now we can go to a concert. Now we can go on a trip, whatever. Cool. But beyond that, more money does not fill a hole in your soul. And you
No.
think it's going to. And so you go, okay, well, if I just make $1 million, then everything will be fine. And if I just, well, if I just make $5 million, everything will be fine. If I just make $10 million, everything will be fine. Meanwhile, the lifestyle creep is happening. The scope creep in the business is happening. Now I've got 5 people working for me, 10 people working for me, 20 people, 50 people that are all kind of on the payroll. I got the family has certain expectations. The kids are in private school, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And now it becomes, oh, I have to make now this kind of money just to be okay, right? I'm way out of the like, I can't eat
Yeah.
territory, but I'm into
Yeah.
this territory of, okay, now the nut has gotten bigger, right?
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, well, I actually am more stressed out than I used to be. And I don't know if this happened to you, but there'd be times where I'd fantasize about like, I wish I could just wipe it all out, start back over,
Yeah.
just make enough to get by and kind of stay there, because that's when I was the happiest, was when I first made, that when I first started making, I don't know what it was, 60, $70,000 a year. It was just like enough that I was like, okay, cool. I can eat. I can go to a
Yeah.
show. You know what I mean? And
Y-
like that was the life. And then it's like you add all this complication and you go, fuck, I'm not actually happy, but now I'm trapped
Yeah.
because my lifestyle and my business has creeped up to the point where now I like have to make $1 million+ a year or everything, or I let a lot of people down, right?
Yeah. And so again, I know this is gonna piss off some people that hear it, but making money for me has gotten very easy.
Yeah.
Like I know how to make money, right?
Yeah.
So even saying, well, my low tier of spending is X amount, it's like that's not a problem.
Right.
It doubled, that's not a problem. Like I'm
Mhm.
not, the thing was like I just wasn't excited anymore.
Yeah.
And I remember Melissa asking me like, well, what's a hobby that you have? I'm like,
Right.
I don't have hobbies. Like I never did anything for fun. I've been working before I dropped out of high school. I was working since I was 12.
Yeah.
So my dad, the rule was you either study or work, and I was a terrible student. So every weekend and vacation, I worked.
Yeah.
So I was working since I was 12. I never had, with friends, I only had like one friend growing up, and that was about it. And it was just always working, 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 working. So like, what's a hobby? I'm like, I don't know, working. Like, what do you do for fun? I don't do fun. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know how to have fun. I don't know how to take vacations. I don't know how to like enjoy myself. I don't
Mhm.
know how to do those things. It makes no sense in my head. Like I literally got a book on how to have fun because I didn't know where to start. It's ridiculous,
Yeah.
and it's those things that like they sound silly, but for me, they were real problems because there were days that I just didn't want to get out of bed because I didn't see the
Mhm.
point. It's like
Mhm.
I don't know what to do. I get out of bed. I have no drive, no nothing. And it was depressing. It was very depressing for a while and it was very dark for a while. And I felt terrible because I see my family that they're wanting to have fun and we're finally in the state that has beautiful outdoor living and all this
Yeah.
stuff. And I'm just like this, party pooper and and for the longest time too, before all this, like I used to have massive panic attacks.
Mhm.
So I used to be, since I turned 30, I started having panic attacks where I would be driving down the highway and I would drive either on the far left or far right in case I passed out so I could throw my
Mm.
truck into the median so
Mhm.
I wouldn't hurt anybody because like that's
Wow.
how bad the panic attacks would get. And I got very sick because of it. So it's like, but where I'm going at is like that felt like home.
Yeah. Yeah.
That chaos,
Yes.
that
Yes.
all that felt so familiar.
Yes.
And then when I got to this level of like peace, I was
Yes.
like, I don't know what to
You're like,
do.
what do I do with peace? And we see this not
Yes.
only in like entrepreneurs making a lot of money, we also see this in people with their relationships. If you grew up in a really chaotic,
Hmm.
abusive household, then you're going to go marry somebody where you have chaos and abuse going on in the relationship because that's comfortable for, we recreate what we're comfortable with. And a lot of us are comfortable with discomfort or comfortable with
Yeah.
chaos because that's how we grew up, whether that's financially, whether that's relationship wise or whatever. And until you start to notice that pattern and say, wait a second, how do I get comfortable holding a lot of money? How do I get comfortable in a safe, peaceful relationship? Like, how do I make this okay? And where is the identity shift that needs to happen? Because if you've built your
Yes.
entire identity for your entire life on, I am a scrapper, I am a fighter, I call it the underdog. Like, I'm the underdog
Hmm.
and I come from below and I'm amazing at that. But now I don't know how to be an overdog.
Yeah.
So what do I do? I have one of two choices. I can either learn how to be an overdog, I can shift my identity, or I can keep sabotaging myself right back into putting myself back into underdog status, which is what most people end up doing because they're just not conscious that this pattern is going on. It's so easy to assign it to, well, other people did this, or the economy did this, or whatever. This is what happened to me versus how am I happening to myself? How am I happening to my own life because of the identity that I'm coming from? And now, how do I change my identity from someone who has to fight from below to
Mhm.
somebody who is peaceful sitting on resources, right?
And
So you must
that's
have
the
gone through
hardest
that.
battle.
Yeah. So Melissa probably called that out for you, or you probably figured that
Yes.
out in
Yeah,
coaching.
so I mean, if you look at all my books behind me, probably 95% of them are mindset books.
Yeah.
Because you learn this too, that making money, there's a set formula for making money in
Yeah.
every business.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't change much, right? But it's the mindset behind why you're not making money, right? It's why do you stop yourself? Why, like I have students that they're gonna close their first deal and make 60 grand, and they see they're gonna make 60 grand, and then they start messing everything up as much as possible. And I'm like,
Mhm.
dude, no, stop, stay still, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, but it was so quick, and I was like, it's supposed to be, just
Yeah.
relax,
Yeah.
but it's that our own self-worth and our own beliefs and limitations, right? So that's been the hardest work because I can fight the world, but
Mhm.
now I'm fighting myself. And it's like,
Mhm.
well, this sucks because like the enemy can see my plays, right? So it's like how do I do it when like I get ahead of myself and I
Yeah.
cut myself off at things and I'm
Yeah.
like, well, this is hard. Like, bypassing that mental shit is hard. And the one thing I think I did very well was even though I wasn't like progressing, I also stopped the sabotage. So I
Yeah.
was just in this middle place of I'm not going to burn it down, but I'm not building it up either. I was miserable, but I wasn't going to blow it up.
Yes.
So I was able to maintain and even grow a little bit every month. We were growing financially in the business. We will grow every month and all that. So it was a steady growth. It wasn't fun for me. It wasn't exciting, but I wasn't going to lose it. I wasn't going to lose everything. I wasn't going to, jeopardize my family. Like
Mhm.
all that was good. Um, but I was just miserable. It was just, I wasn't sleeping well. I felt groggy. As a man, my testosterone plummeted.
Mhm.
I went down, like they say, like for a guy my age, I should be like around 600 testosterone. It was at 170.
Mhm.
They're like, now you run the risk of having a heart attack. And I was like, oh, yay. So let's add more stuff to it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I internalized everything. So I hurt myself a
Mhm.
lot. So with Melissa, it was a lot of redefining the identity. And I also hired another coach, which does NLP training.
Mhm.
And are you familiar
Yeah,
with
I'm a
NLP?
I'm a trainer of NLP, and for anybody watching or listening, that stands for neuro linguistic programming. Our
Yes, ma'am.
producers get mad at us when we just say NLP and don't explain what it means. So neuro linguistic
So
programming. So you get
it,
exposed to NLP, and then what?
yeah, so I actually started. I just got a course. I'm starting to get certified in it myself.
Nice.
But what he started doing was identifying my limiting beliefs and using the
Mhm.
NLP techniques to break them out like
Mhm.
fast.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, like I was like, oh shit, I can breathe. Oh, look, I can see the world like in HD now. Like I can see
Yeah.
colors, because it was like that. I didn't realize how dark it had gotten for me, how
Mhm.
gloomy, and
Mhm.
now I'm starting to see the world. Like I don't know how else to explain it. It's weird, but like it was really, it was really like that. And between Melissa helping me with like the strategy and tactic, and him helping me with the NLP and like breaking through these
Mhm.
limitations so quickly, because I mean that's the thing with NLP is how fast it just they don't need to do the therapy of
Yeah.
what your dad said when you were little. They just break through it, and I'm like, oh shit, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, oh crap, okay, cool, and I feel better, right?
Yeah.
So I threw everything at coaching, and I started climbing out. My panic attacks went away. I started finding more purpose. I started getting hobbies. I got excited about the growth again. I got excited about my business. Now I'm at a place where it's like this last holiday was like the first fun holidays I've ever had.
Mhm.
because usually holidays were just depressing for me because we were always
Mhm.
so broke. It always just was a big flashlight of, hey, look how useless you've been in your life,
Yeah.
you know. So this Christmas, I mean, not only did my kids get whatever they needed, right, but like we sponsored families, we bought gifts for other
Mhm.
kids, we fed a lot of families. Like that filled me up, you know, to be able to give back to so many people because I didn't have it. We, you know, we didn't have food growing up, so it's like
Yeah.
now we can, you know, and we can give kids toys and food and everything. So it was an incredible, you know, holiday this year around. So it's yeah, definitely I asked for help, you know. I wasn't able to do it on my own.
It's beautiful, and I think, we all need help. We all need help.
Yes.
I won't hire a coach that doesn't have a coach.
Yes. Yes.
Coaches need coaches too. We all need our coaches. Um, we all need you can't read the label from inside the jar. We
Yes.
need other people that can reflect back to us and say, "Hey, have you thought about this?" Or "This might be what's going on with you," or "What do you think about this?" And so you had an experience, it sounds like I had with NLP, where it was like, "Oh my god, this is incredible.
Yeah.
I feel like a totally different person. I feel like I can be at peace for the first time in my life. Not only do I understand what's going on with me, but I know how to shift it like that now. Now I have to go help other people do this. Like I got to put everything else on hold. I got to go help other people do this. I got to be a coach, right?" So that's what you did
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, I've been coaching people, and I coach them on how to make money in real estate. But
Mhm.
one of the biggest things that sets me apart from like any other real estate coach I've seen is that I do a lot of mindset work as well.
Mhm.
So, and I tell all my students the same thing. I'm like, look, guys, 90% mindset, 10% tactic. Like the real estate piece, such a small, you know, I can give you all the techniques and you're not going to do them.
Right.
So it means nothing. It's more about why aren't you doing them?
Right.
Why do you feel like you're not worthy of getting the success? Why do you feel like, you know, you didn't work hard enough for it? Why does it have to hurt in order for you to earn it? You know, like all these limitations that we have, because the system that I created is a system that makes a lot of money with not as much effort. And
Mhm.
that growing up the way a lot of us have grown up is like, if you want something, you got to work really, really hard to
Right.
get it. And I'm
Right.
like, not always though, you know? So what do
Right.
you do when that's not the case?
Right.
You make it hard,
Right.
you know, so you can make it worth it. So it's been a lot of the mindset piece of it. So yeah, it's been definitely a journey to see the pieces come together.
I love it. You mentioned way back in this interview, maybe 10 or 20 minutes ago, there's a motto that you always teach your students. And speaking of NLP, that's an open loop for me. I need to close the loop for my own sanity. What is the motto? Teach us the motto.
The motto I said that?
You did. You said there's a motto I always teach my clients, and then we kept talking about something else.
So
What's the motto?
what I don't believe anything happens by accident,
Mhm.
right? Even when they hire me, there was something inside of them that told them that this is where they need to be.
Yeah.
Now that you get doubt, fear, and everything once you do it, that's different, but the urge was there. So the one thing I always tell them when things get tough is just say this to yourself is I didn't make it this far to make it this far. I'm here for a
Mm,
reason.
mhm.
And just say it enough times as loud as you can until it resonates in your bones. And then tell me if you're scared again, you know? And I do it with my students where I have them stand up and I'm like, let's go, say it, you know? And then all of a sudden, like they start getting energized and
Yeah.
because even the hitting yourself, like it
Yes.
starts moving the blood. Because a lot of people, when they get depressed, what do? They just sit down, you know? I'm like, shut up, stand up, come on, stand up,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
let's shake it out. Let's go.
Yeah.
Are you here? You know, is this it? Is this all you were here to do? You know, no, no. You're here for a reason, right? Yeah, I'm here for a reason. Oh, okay. Let's act like it then.
Yeah.
You know, and then it just starts changing your state, and it's something Tony Robbins always talks about, right? Change your state.
Yep.
So, like that's so I always tell them it's you know I didn't come this far to come this far,
I
and
love
that is
that.
something I've used through my life so many times. But there's been so many moments that you know, even in our relationship where we had a miscarriage 5 months in.
Mm,
So 5 months you're planning for, you know, holding your baby, right? Like you're past the hard part.
mhm.
Um, so when we lost the baby, it was like, it was dark, you
Yeah.
know, and all right, well, we didn't come this far to come this far. Let's go.
Yeah.
And now we have three beautiful kids. They're all
Mhm.
healthy. They're happy. So you just gotta have something that pushes you through those dark moments.
That's right. That's right. I had a friend who used to say, "Don't quit before the miracle happens."
Oh,
I
yeah,
think about
yes, I love
think
it.
about that all the time, and in
Yes.
my experience with my own trajectory with coaching so many hundreds of other entrepreneurs, we always say the only way to fail is to quit. If you can just stay in it, if you can just stay in it, you're going to figure it out. Things are going to get better. The circumstances externally are going to change. Everything is going to align again if you can
Yeah.
stay in it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I agree. As long as you don't quit, you can't fail.
That's
There's
right.
just no way to fail. So,
So we put
yeah.
that word yet at the end, and that's an NLP trick, but we put that word yet. It's, if I don't have it, I don't have it yet. If I haven't done it, I
Yes.
haven't done it yet. Right.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
we've got
Because,
something to keep moving toward, right?
yeah, it's funny. That's what I love about NLP. It's all these little words that we just throw in there without realizing, but it triggers your brain to think differently, right? Oh, I don't have it. You shut down. I don't
Yep.
have it yet. The brain keeps working, right? It's
Yep.
like, well, let's see what's missing then. Where am I missing something, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I love it.
And I love I didn't come this far just to come this far. I'm going to adopt it. I'm going to start saying it to myself and teach it to all my clients too. So thank you. We're going to go viral
Yeah.
with that one. Uh, John, it's been awesome having you on the show. Where can people find you on the internet if they want to learn more about you or your work?
Sure. I'm pretty much everywhere. Just John Barbera, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I'm the one that handles all my social media accounts. So if you get any responses, they're mine. They're from me. And I help out anybody in any business. Like I coach real estate, but if you have questions about, like we talked about, business is business. Like it's the same principles and everything. So I love helping people. I love, even especially men when they're in their darkest spot, like don't keep that shit to yourself. There's no pride or ego that is ever worth it. Like ask for help, reach out.
There are no trophies for anyone who asks for the least help. So
Yes.
if you need
Yeah.
help, if John is resonating with you, please reach out to John. He's amazing. If you want to find me, I do all my social as well. I'm at Michelle to Scale everywhere on Instagram. TikTok is my new obsession. And find us, reach out to us. We're real people. We
Yes.
have gone through our own shit, and we are so happy to help others who want to evolve and grow and transform and change their lives to do the same. John, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It's so inspiring, and I'm so glad you were able to be here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I had a blast. It was fun.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.